Content warning, y'all. We have lots of fun making this podcast, but remember, we watch a lot of R-rated films, use language that reflects that, and joke about heavy topics to create levity around these themes. If that doesn't feel safe or could be triggering, please take care of yourself. We want you to have fun listening too. This also means we might not be suitable for children. Oh yeah, and we spoil the end of all the movies we pod about. Thanks for listening. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, you are. You are recording.
It's going.
Rolling. I'm sorry.
My name is...
My name is... Yeah.
Regular. That's appropriate for this episode. Regular.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Regular. Yeah.
Regular. No, that doesn't sound the same.
Romulan. Oh, that's what...
I just sound stupid. Hello and welcome.
Hi.
Greetings.
Hey.
Hello, fellow travelers.
I was like listening to like early episodes trying to find a clip, and I used to insist on introducing us, and you're just like, why? And
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know why. Because I was like very much like, okay, no one's gonna know who's who. Because I mean, I guess in a sense,
I think it makes sense for early on. But.
Yeah. But yeah, at this point, I think I'm really proud of us because we've been doing this for over a year, and we have like
buddy,
so many we have so many episodes.
We do.
So many episodes.
And I'm very proud of our increased quality.
Yeah.
Overall, for all the Instagram stuff.
Yeah.
That we figured some things out to streamline our lives.
I was like looking at like early Instagram posts and early because I like to be like, here's how far I've come. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. In the beginning, I was just like, wait, I was really phoning it in the beginning. Because I didn't know what I was doing, and now I take it so seriously, and obviously, the lovely, like, argument we got into on Friday where you were like, how should I do? And I was like, I can't talk to you. I can't. If you don't know, I can't tell you. We figured it out. The Altered States post looks great, but, yeah, it was hard for me.
Due to Z's altered state at the time, I took on the responsibility of making a post for the 5th episode about the film Altered States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I asked one question and the entire house of cards came tumbling down.
It's true. You were like,
is this font okay?
No, you said, you're like, how do you do it? And I was like, I was like, Photoshop, and you were like, what do you use Photoshop for? And I was like, I can't do this. I was like, this is too far. I was like, if I have to explain to you that
what Photoshop is?
I was like, oh my God. I was like, that was what did it, if I'm honest. I was like, you think that I just open like Instagram and I just make a fucking like header for this on Instagram? I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm not saying I was being rational.
I know. And because you also didn't say any of that aloud to me.
Because I was like, you need to not do this. Like, you are getting too upset about this. I kept saying, I know I'm not being rational, to be fair.
It's true.
I was saying, I know I'm not being rational. But it's just like, because for me, I just like, it's like almost muscle memory by now.
Sure.
And I'm just like, whatever. And just being like, open Photoshop and you're like, why are you opening Photoshop?
Well,
and
here's
I was
what we need to prioritize writing each other training materials.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Such a good idea. Yeah.
And something we've both done before. So.
Oh my God, yeah, and I love doing it. So that's really good. Yeah.
So when either of us gets fired, someone else they won't be starting from school.
My favorite thing though about writing training materials is like spending so much time making it look so simple and then giving it to someone or like having it easily accessible and then being like, yeah, I don't really look at it. And you're like, but it's right there.
That is the most rewarding part.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. I don't really need to look at it. And you're like, yeah, you do. I made that. That's my favorite thing about training materials. But so if you're here and you're like
queer.
Yeah, especially if you're queer. If you're like, these weirdos seem cool. I wonder what else they have going on. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. ZNKPod is our handle for all of those things. ZANDKPOD. It's just a horse galloping up the stairs. My crotch is a little achy today, just for all those listeners out there wondering how I'm doing post-surgery. I'm a little achy, but I'm doing a lot better, in a lot less pain than I was when I first came out of surgery.
Weird.
2 weeks post-op, I'm feeling better.
That's miraculous.
I know, it's crazy. Also, if you really want to support us, you can go to if you're on our Instagram or you're on our Twitter, you can go to the links in our bios and you'll have you'll see a link tree and you can get us on Patreon. You can buy a sticker.
Bunch of different ways to throw money in.
Yeah.
Stickers? We have stickers?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I think my cousin Meeks bought one of our stickers.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Shout out Meeks. Neeks, excuse me.
It's just
Is it just the logo?
Yeah, it's just our logo.
It's
but
nice.
It's on my Redbubble.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sick, bruh.
Yeah. But yeah, we're on Patreon. We're everywhere. You can get us everywhere.
That's right.
One of these days I'll figure out how to actually market our podcast a little bit better, and then we'll be famous, and then we'll be like, shit, we shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, right. Then we'll get canceled.
Fuck yeah.
And then we'll make a podcast. We'll just talk about getting canceled, and we'll get even more famous.
Cancel culture, run amok. So because March was March Hysterical Madness, and it was all about body horror, I was like, let's make April a little lighter and a little more fun, a little less heavy, and April Fools and all that bullshit. Everyone's favorite holiday, April Fools. So we watched The Birdcage.
Yeah, I don't remember why this was selected other than what you just said.
That's all.
I'd never seen it. I know I've seen parts of it.
I've seen parts of it, but yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually seen the whole thing.
I think I kind of stayed away from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knowing it was not queer people playing queer people.
Well, Nathan Lane.
Is he?
Yeah. I've
never been sure.
Yeah, he wasn't out at the time.
Oh, wow.
I know. I read that. I was like, oh, what? Wow. He was not out at the time of making this or this film coming out, but yeah, he's openly gay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that makes me a little less
uncomfortable. Right. Yeah. I was like, it made me really sad at first because I was like, I thought the premise of the movie was, I mean, I knew that they were pretending, but I thought it was more that he was getting married and they didn't want to have to explain it. So they're I don't know. Or I don't know. I just didn't realize it was more the kid being you have to get.
Yeah, that's.
I was like, oh God, that made me really fucking sad.
That's rough.
I was like, Jesus. And how, like, I mean, I feel like they did a great job with how upset it makes them both. Like, I feel like they're both so upset throughout. I felt like they gave more time to them being upset than they did to them lying about everything.
Yeah.
And that was something that I appreciated. And really it was a lot different than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I think I'd only ever seen it on like TV with like commercials and everything cut out of it. So I
That wasn't scripted. It was just the sound of my soul.
God, that was the look on your face too, just being like.
There's a lot of slapstick in this comedy in this film, and every time we were both just like, "Oh, it's me."
It's true, it is. Oh God, I thought
Hank Azaria is pretty hilarious in this.
She works hard for the money, so hard for the money. I work hard for the money, so you better treat me right. That's right.
You gotta put your shoes on, Agador. It's getting late.
But there's no point in my putting shoes on, sir. I never wear shoes because they make me fall down.
Oh God, he's so I think Hank Azaria is very hot.
Oh, he's definitely hot in this movie.
Oh
he's
my God,
barely got any clothes on a lot of the time.
That's Hank Azaria in like everything. Like he in so much he just plays like, I mean, you know, say what you will. He's just, you know, his I don't really know exactly how to qualify his like he's Greek Latino Jew.
Not Latino because
he speaks Ladino. I don't know. It's not he speaks Ladino. Like I was very confused. Or like Greek, Spanish,
Sephardic Jewish.
Yeah. Which is like Spanish,
right?
Jew, but his family's from Greece. So that's like, it's very. I'm like, what? Which is so fascinating to me, like finding out like people's like.
Oh, you know I'm obsessed with this.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's what I want to do. Anytime I see an actor like portraying any sort of like ethnic, like
yes, especially then,
and I'm like, yep, we're gonna look it up, and and if it's ever like this person is like very much a whitey McWhite white person, I'm like, ugh. But sometimes you find out that they're like, oh yeah, they're completely like, you know, you're like, what, huh? Anyway, but he always plays like sort of the like Hispanic or like.
Does he?
Maybe not always, but yeah, like he'll play like the hot guy
He's
but
he's the Fred Armisen of the 90s.
No, not quite. I mean, I can see what you're saying, but no.
Kind of. Also on The Simpsons.
I see what you're saying, but he does. I feel like he got cast as that, and it's not like he gets asked to play a bit part, and everything he plays a bit part, right. And he's like, you know what I'm going to do? Make fun of immigrants. Yeah. My God, please stop. Fred Armisen, like I know he's not white, I know that, but I still feel like everything he fucking does is just making fun of like immigrants in like the shittiest fucking way possible. And it's not like but it's like how stupid they are, how gross they are, how uneducated, and how like
his recurring character on 9/9, and
yes, and like it's always like a little sexual assaulty. You're like, you don't need to do that. Right. You don't need to make those jokes. You don't need to do that thing.
An episode of Parks and Rec.
Oh God, I hated that one. I hate that one. We always skip that one because we hate it so much.
Even though I love to refer to the
jail. Right to jail. Yeah, that part's the only funny part. The rest of it is like God, you're just a piece of shit. Anyway.
Yep.
We're not fans of Fred Armisen.
Armistans. We're not Armistans.
Oh my God. Anyway.
But
we're talking about Hank Azaria, like as the Blue Raja. That was like one of my first.
What is that?
From Mystery Men.
Oh.
Blue Raja.
Forgot
he was really that was like my first introduction to like Hank Azaria, and then I would see him like playing like the hot guy and stuff, and I was like and so I was like, I think he's really hot, but I also think he's not. I don't know. He just looks really weird, and I think that's why I'm also, he's playing like a big old homo in the Birdcage, so queer coded. That's my if there is
not queer coding. That's
well, it's queer coded in the sense that he's not actually gay in real life. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Straight looking.
Yeah. That was so good. Oh man,
I want one of those.
Actually, I didn't think this movie was as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I laughed my ass off.
Really?
And you know this when they had like Gene Hackman. They showed the clip of him on that like political talk show.
Oh yeah.
And it's literally just a panel of white men like yelling over each other. And Diane Weiss goes, "This is such a good show." And
morality is political. Abortion, same-sex marriage.
It's a wonderful show.
It's the most intelligent show on television.
Would not exist if politicians didn't make laws to protect them.
And I was like,
you
oh
lost
my God, it's so fucking accurate. It's so accurate. I laughed so fucking hard.
Sadly, all the political references,
not even remotely outdated.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
Which is sad.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Especially like right now and everything that's going on with like Texas and Florida. It's like very, which is like really sad. The only thing that was like outdated was how accepting they were in the end. Supposedly during the toast scene, which I don't know what scene that was. The toast scene. I'm assuming when they're drinking together.
When he's buttering toast?
I don't know. It said the toast scene.
Okay. What about it?
The director had to be put, like he had to have a sound blanket over him because he was laughing too hard. I didn't really know which scene it was talking about, though.
I thought it said for a lot of the movie.
Oh. There might have been 2 entries. This is something that made me really fucking
Girl,
sad.
same.
This is something that made me really sad. It is the highest grossing film
with an openly gay
lead
character.
since until
Bruno, which, as everyone knows, is another pinnacle of gay
right, exactly. I was like, wow. But like that's so sad.
Oh, did you see the Callista Flockhart was 30 years old?
Oh yeah, I looked up her age. She's like almost 60, and she's like the same age as Hank Azaria. I think she's like the same age as Hank Azaria. So probably. I just when he was like he says you're barely 19, even though I swear to God we replayed it multiple times and he says barely 18.
Says that, but that's the trivia.
But he says 18 later. He says she's 18 years old. He says that.
That's true.
And so I was like, what? We literally went back and replayed it because we were convinced of different. Like we were like, wait, does he say you're barely 18 or you're not even 18? And he says you're not even 18. But supposedly he said 19. I don't know.
Oh no shit! Did you see this? Their headboard with the golden is in the episode of DS9. Our man Bashir.
Oh my God! I did not see that. Holy shit, that's amazing. Also, God, the colors in this movie, all the greens.
Oh, yeah.
made me so nostalgic for like Florida, not nostalgic for Florida, but like I had this, my grandparents' neighbor, Harriet, she had like, her house was like very much decorated in greens like that. And I loved her house so much. And then she got Alzheimer's and she had really severe dementia and she died when I was really young.
And you stole all the green.
No, I didn't. No, but then the gay neighbors moved in.
Oh, nice.
Several years later. Yeah.
That
my grandpa really wanted to find women to make them happy, and we were like, maybe you should just let them be bachelors together. And he was like, they're such good guys, they should find women. And we were like, we think they're happy. And they would just we would all just like look at each other, like they'd look at us and we'd look at them and we'd be like, oh goodness, and they'd be like,
look at me.
It was funny.
You're right. It does say the toast scene. Yeah. I assume it's the
I did
buttering toast.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just a presumption. Because that's one that's directly...
Yeah, it says toast in it. Yeah, they say toast multiple times.
Mirrored from the 70s film.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. The take on... So the premise of the movie is essentially, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's that... Robin Williams and Nathan Lane play a queer couple that are very open, very flamboyant. The Nathan Lane plays a drag queen, and Robin Williams, they own like a club called the Birdcage, which is why the movie's called the Birdcage. Well, also in the original is called the Birdcage.
Which, first of all, La Cage aux Folles, I've seen translated as the cage of crazy women. So I don't know if...
Yeah.
Bird is slang for
because like you call a woman you call them like bird sometimes, right? Not you, but like
okay.
Keith is known for calling ladies birds.
Chickadees.
Yeah. Anyway, so they have a son who's like 20 years old, and he comes to see them. I mean, it was weird because it's like Robin Williams plays like the father. He slept with a woman and got her pregnant when he was much younger, and then he ended up getting together with Nathan Lane and they raised a kid together. It's not super clear on that part of it. It's very clear that like he doesn't think of, like, Nathan Lane calls himself like auntie or uncle or whatever. I don't remember which one. So, you know, he's not necessarily, but like at the same time, he grew up with both of them.
Right.
And like Nathan Lane acts very paternal, like acts very like,
right.
You know, towards
parental.
Yeah. And I mean, not just parental, but very like protective and emotional and stuff like that. Acts motherly, essentially.
Okay.
But the guy that their son is going to marry, the girl that the son is going to marry.
Tinder's hard.
I know. It is like she's attached to a political family who's very right wing.
Attached.
Well, her parents are, yeah, her dad's a senator or a congressman or something like that. Senator. And he is embroiled in a controversy where he's, what is he, like the moral?
What's it called?
Like, basically, he's like, his whole platform is like morality and like family values and shit, which is a code for like, you know, hating the gays and trans and shit like that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
there were tons of these groups that came out of the Reagan era,
right, yeah,
and into the 90s.
Also, there's implications that like they're anti-Semitic.
Oh, was there? Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they have to pretend they're not Jewish
right.
in order for
Coleman.
Yeah. Also, he was like I think Robin Williams was like, he's not a Nazi, is he? And he was like, no, of course not. But then they have to pretend they're not Jewish. So I'm like,
yeah, right.
Sounds Nazi-ish.
Well, yeah. Nazi was not as literal. You could use it in a less literal way. I'm not approving of it, but condoning it. But
oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, now if you accuse someone of being a Nazi, they're probably actually a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. So anyway, and whatever. They're embroiled in like that family, the conservative family is embroiled in a scandal because like the father's right hand man died in bed with a hooker. Who they make a big deal about being black. Which also again I'm like, yeah, they're really emphasizing the white
racism.
Purity, yeah. Which I was like, I don't think they're doing it in the best way, but I do think they're trying to very much emphasize that they don't like minorities in any capacity,
right.
And they're trying to like drive that home. Which I was like, I get it. I think it's being done a little too
flippantly,
flippantly and comedically for how hard they're going on certain aspects of it. But I understand that at the time it probably didn't feel quite that way.
Real quick aside,
at least for the white people watching.
that in the French film, they have a butler who's black. And they decided not to do that for this film.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. So Robin Williams and Nathan Lane and Hank Azaria plays their like housekeeper who's really trying to get a job. He's basically trying to work his way into getting a job in the club doing drag, and they're like, you're really terrible at it. It's never gonna work, which is so funny to me. So the son, because he's marrying this really conservative person, he asks them basically to pretend that they're not a gay couple, and they they try to come up with all these elaborate things to happen, and everything gets fucked up, and it ends up to where Nathan Lane is pretending to be a woman. It's all very last minute, which I didn't remember. I thought they just were pretending, that they were like, oh, he thinks that, he doesn't know that I have a gay parents, and then they're like, oh, we'll just pretend that we're straight. And Nathan Lane's like, oh, I'd be better as well. I don't know because I don't know if I had actually seen it or if I just had seen clips of it or pieces of it. But there's so much of the movie where like they're so distraught over the fact that their son's marrying this person who's, first of all, I really like how much they're like, you're so young and you should not be getting married.
Right.
And that like,
and how much, at least at first, Armand is like, no.
Yeah.
I can't be happy for you.
Yeah.
Don't do this. You're throwing your life away.
Yeah. I mean,
it goes out the window almost immediately, but.
Right. But, the part where he's like, he says, I'm getting married, and Robin Williams just chugs an entire glass of wine. He was like, whoa, are you upset? And he's like, but let me tell you why. Also Diane Wiest, I think she's so hot. I really think Diane Wiest is so hot, and I love her, and there's so many things about this that were like really interesting, and like I feel like there's a lot of commentary to be made in this. I don't necessarily know that they do it really perfectly, but I feel like there's a lot of like Gene Hackman's character is like immediately like enamored with Nathan Lane as the mother, or as the wife and mother, and he's just like, because the son and Robin Williams are very much like critiquing her every behavior, thinking that she's not passing as a woman and stuff like that. But he is taking that as them not respecting her. So he's getting he's getting his cackles up, or whatever you call it. He's hackles up. I see. Okay. He's getting his hackles up over it, and he's just like, she's an old-fashioned woman, and like she needs to be protected. And Diane Wiest is like so jealous and pissed, and she's like, why are you acting this way? Yeah. And she's just like,
but I like the way that the jealousy manifests. It's not like petty possessiveness.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? What?
Yeah. She's like, what? Why are you acting this way? Yeah.
She's like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah. She's like, why are you acting this way? And
that's my favorite moment for that character.
Yeah. I want to live in their apartment so bad. I love it.
All right,
Especially
let's
like
move to,
Nathan Lane's.
South Beach.
Oh God, no.
Not South Beach.
Nathan Lane's
Yeah,
like
South Beach,
dressing room or whatever. The pink on pink stripe. Oh God, I love that.
My favorite scene aesthetically is when they're on the bench and the giant fucking freighter is behind them.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
And then Crockett's theme starts playing. Jan Hammer shows up.
I don't get any of these jokes.
Philip. Oh, shit. What's his name? Philip Michael Thomas? No.
Can we pause so I can take a tinkle? Okay. That's how that ended. The good thing about having my surgery and no more periods means no more period poops. The downside is that every poop feels like a period poop now. Hopefully that'll subside, but yeah, I'm not out of the woods yet. You're welcome, everyone who's listening. My poops feel like they're in a birdcage. It's just a nice segue. It's a nice segue.
Is it?
Yeah, it's nice. I don't really have many I feel like there's a lot in this movie. This scene where Gene Hackman's talking about the different colors that they saw, like
Oh, God.
The hills, the mountains. Talk about your purple mountains majesty. Just fantastic. Red leaves, purple mountains, green fields, and the roads, black, cutting through the green. All the colors. The trees. Pennsylvania's nice, too.
Yeah, that's brilliant. He delivers it so well.
oh God, yeah.
I will say, I only, just right before we recorded, I watched some clips from the French version.
Oh, interesting.
And this is definitely a superior film.
This one?
Yeah.
The Birdcage?
The 90s one, yeah.
Yeah.
The-
How so?
well, I mean, it just obviously has a larger budget and
Oh, I see.
all that. And,
Oh, okay.
But also, I mean, you know, I'm sure there's some cultural things that I'm not getting, but the performances seemed a little. It seems even stickier, you know. Like I don't know if that's true. You know,
You mean shittier? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
don't be anti-Semitic. The toast scene. I watched the toast scene. That was one of them. And this isn't funny at all.
Yeah,
like I didn't think
yeah.
it was. It's not a very funny scene to me in the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Birdcage, but
I thought it was. I didn't think it was funny, but I was like really fascinated by how it was being. I was like, they have like this one because the toast scene that we're referring to is that like Nathan Lane gets really really upset about the idea of them having to like pretend like they're not gay, and he basically asks him to leave so that Nathan Lane doesn't blow the fact that they're a gay couple, and Nathan Lane gets really really upset. And I think it's really, he's like, I'm dying, you know, he like is clearly having like a panic attack. And he's like, I'm dying. This is it. This is the end. This is how I go. So they just like sit down at like a cafe or something that they're regulars at. So like everyone knows them. So it's not that, which I thought, okay, yeah, I believe this. And Robin Williams is like, you know what? Yeah. You're actually more important than that, you know? So he's like, you can stay. And he's like, can't I just be like his uncle or whatever? And he's like, okay, but you know, you can't play it straight. So they're trying to practice him like being like the uncle and him like playing it straight. And he's doing such a terrible job because he doesn't know. He keeps like, everything is like with his pinky up.
Don't use the spoon and don't dribble little dots of mustard. No? No. You take your knife and you smear. Men smear.
Smear, that's it.
Yeah. Get the goddamn pinky down. All right, make your fingers like iron, all right? Yeah, and stop trembling. Hold the knife boldly and with strength.
Oh, God, I pierced the toes.
But I feel like it's done not in a way that's like super stereotypical. It's just like his every movement is very like over the top. And I feel like they do a really good way of showing it without making it seem like he's actually camping it up for the scene.
Yeah, that aspect of it, I was surprised too. Like,
Yeah,
it actually doesn't.
And when
seem
he's
as
like,
bad as
he's
you-
like, let me try to walk, and he does the walk, and oh god, it was so good. And then he tries to, when he's like, no, try to walk like John Wayne, and then he does it, and he does such a terrible job trying to walk like John Wayne. But there's this like singular woman, like older lady, sitting in the cafe, and she's just like watching them and everything that they do, and it's such. I felt like it was such like no one else comes in or out except for like the waiter will be like, what can I get you or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's just bring us our usual or whatever, and it brings out like I don't exactly know what it is. It's like toast and something, I don't know, and he's trying to like put mustard on the toast, and he like uses a tiny little he's like put mustard on this, and so he grabs a little tiny mustard spoon and starts like spooning it out and like dolloping it, and Robin Williams was like, no, this is not how men put mustard on toast. And so it's like, it was like such an interesting thing to watch, like how they're so hyper aware of everything that they're doing that isn't straight enough. But then when it comes to like, when they're actually there, like some of the things that they think are super obvious, it feels like Gene Hackman and Diane Wiest aren't noticing or picking up on.
Right.
And so it's this interesting thing of like...
That is interesting because that's kind of how I feel about the movie. Like you feel like...
yeah.
The characterizations are going to be offensively over the top.
Yeah.
And I would say there are moments when it is.
Right.
But not in the ways that you think it...
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Like the problem I had is with Albert's character just
yeah
and everything. You know, like
I kind of
I'm sure that person exists, you know
well,
what I
I
mean? Like,
kind of liked it because in a lot of ways like it wasn't well, I don't want to say I liked it. I'm not saying I liked it. I'm saying I didn't mind it as much because while I feel like it was played for laughs, they weren't mocking him, you know, necessarily. They were like, this is just how he acts. This is how he is. And I thought that was something that was like kind of unexpected, because I feel like it's usually when that's done, everyone is like belittling and, you know, but instead like they're like, okay, let's calm you down. Let's try to get, you know, like, so I don't know. I'm not saying they did it stupendously or whatever, but I thought it was an interesting thing that it wasn't played strictly to make his character less not less likable, but less
sympathetic.
Yeah. I didn't feel like they did it like that. I think, you know, oh, you're my jaw pop.
Jesus.
Also, it was supposed to be, now this would have been a horrible movie. It was supposed to be Steve Martin and Robin Williams were supposed to be the couple.
Steve Martin as Armand and Robin Williams as Albert.
Yeah. And I guess Steve Martin couldn't do it, and Robin Williams decided he wanted to be the more butch because he was used to playing like more flamboyant characters, and he
Mrs.
wanted
Doubtfire.
Yeah, pretty much. And he wanted to stretch his I don't know, stretch him. And
he's pretty great, actually.
I do, yeah. I think Robin Williams does really good. I think Robin Williams was a really good actor, personally.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting to read that like Nathan Lane wasn't out yet playing this role. And that must have been, I don't know, in a sense that must be terrifying.
Well, wasn't he not in the Broadway version before this?
I don't know. Was there a Broadway version?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
It was a big Broadway hit.
When you said it was when you said it was a play, I thought that's what.
Oh no.
That's what I thought that the French version was, that they Americanized it for a movie, and that it was a play.
It was a play, and then it was a film. A French author. French, a play in France.
Okay.
Then there was the film from 1978 or whatever. That was a French-Italian produced film.
Yeah.
And then it came to the U.S. via Broadway.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I saw some reference to like. Let me double check.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 1983, a musical adaptation in the States. Happened. Music and lyrics by Jerry Herman and a book by Harvey Firestein.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means. And it had like it was a huge success, like a 4-year run or something.
Oh, wow.
First hit Broadway musical centered on a homosexual relationship.
Wow. God.
And it spawned, like there was a West End version and everything. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's one of those things where like it was so controversial
Also,
when it came out.
the French film has 2 sequels.
Has what?
2 sequels.
2 sequels?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And this is one that I always remember seeing in the video store as a kid.
Really?
Yeah. I remember the cover very distinctly.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a drawing of 2 men in one dress surrounded by like stage light kind of.
Oh, hold on. Is it?
I'll do some credits if that's okay.
Yeah.
What are you looking at? Directed by Mike Nichols, who did a bunch of other stuff that you've heard of, like Postcards from the Edge, which is on our list to view. The Graduate, maybe you've heard of it. His next film after this was Primary Colors.
Oh, God. I've never really seen that.
Regarding Henry. Biloxi Blues, also written by... No, is that right? Hang on. That's a play by Neil Simon. Okay. Silkwood. Carnal Knowledge. Catch-22.
Carnal Knowledge.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Mm.
Anyway, I know Buck Henry has worked on a lot of those movies, so I assume they have a...
Who's Buck Henry?
He's like a screenwriter. I don't know how to describe him. He's just one of those people that was everywhere in the 70s.
Gotcha.
He showed up a lot on early Letterman, I guess. Mm-hmm. And he's like one of the first people to host Saturday Night Live more than 3 times or something.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think he did it all before the 80s.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, he wrote The Graduate. Oh, you may remember him as the principal in To Die For.
Okay, yeah, you were losing your shit about. Okay, yeah. I remember your reaction to him.
Yeah.
The principal.
I like him. Anyway, aforementioned Robin Williams, Nathan Lane,
Calista Flockhart,
Gene Hackman,
Diane
Diane Wiest. The son Val is played by Dan Futterman.
Yeah, he played. I know him from. He played like the brother on Judging Amy, I think.
Okay. We haven't mentioned Christine Baranski as
that's right. Yeah,
the biological
mama.
Catherine. Then we got the National Enquirer guys, played by Tom McGowan, station manager at Frasier's.
Kenny.
And Grant Heslov, who apparently has an Oscar. You got?
Yeah. He's. But I think his is like for like screenwriting or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know it wasn't until the aught.
Yeah.
But what did you say?
He was in Congo.
Yeah.
That was one of the first like grown-up movies I saw in the theater, so that movie sticks out to me, even though it was terrible. We watched it and we recorded a
The still unreleased episode.
yeah, we have a still unreleased episode about Congo that we forgot existed for a while, and then we just like left it, and then it was like over 6 months, and we were like,
This will just be some
yeah.
bonus
One
content
day it'll be released, and you'll be like, what? Who cares about this? None of these are references, but it's where we say it, and.
Well, of course, Ann Cusack is somewhere in this movie. TV
Oh,
woman
yeah.
in van.
She's the one that's
Oh
Yep.
yeah, right. No, absolutely.
I always forget she's a Cusack, so I'm
Yeah.
like, where do I know her from?
I mean, if you think about it, I can see it, but I wouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
Joan and John look like fraternal twins.
I don't think that they do.
No?
Personally, no. Right. I'm like madly in love with Joan Cusack. So
Natch.
I have seen her. Like John Cusack, I feel is really boring and kind of annoying. But Joan Cusack, I'm like, I will watch her in anything. Yeah. I will die for her. I will just. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't really die for her. I would just stand in front of a bus for her.
We gotta watch Men Don't Leave, where she plays a nurse. I think is what she does for a living. Who has an affair with Chris. What's his name? Chris
O'Donnell.
Yeah, Robin. Right? He was Robin and Batman and Robin.
Yes.
He's like a teenager.
Oh wow.
And she's hooking up with him. And the mom, is that Diane Wiest? That might be mom. That might be mom.
That might be mom. Diane Wiest is also the mom in she's the mom in fucking maybe I'm wrong about this. In Lost Boys? Isn't she the mom in Lost Boys too?
Oh shit, could be.
Maybe I'm wrong about that though.
Big old Diane Wiest infection.
But Congo is where we started saying
way off, Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange. Oh yeah. We started saying because the monkey in Congo is like constantly like making fun of, I don't know, constantly talking about other women or something, gets jealous. And I don't remember exactly what the actual monkey says, but Keith was making fun and he said, Amy, Fuchi mommy. And so we just started saying Fuchi mommy for everything. And I said, if we ever get an animal, we're going to have to name it Fuchi mommy.
Fuchi, by the way, is Mexican slang for ugly. Well, actually, I don't know if it's limited to Mexico.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
It might just be Spanish.
Yeah.
Anywho, the origins of Amy Fuchi mommy. Lost to time.
Amy Fuchi mommy.
And part of the joke is the fake horrible ASL I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what I was making fun of.
Oh, I know. Oh.
Any hoozle.
Because she would just be like, ugly woman or whatever. And
Oh,
she
yeah,
would just, like,
that's right.
She would just like see a woman and she would like pick on and so she'd be like, Amy, pretty baby or something like that. And then she'd see like a woman and she'd be like, ugly bitch. You know, I don't know what she would say. So Keith said, Amy Fuchi mommy.
The episode of China, Illinois. Where
oh God, we're
cat power. Voices the ape, the gorilla.
Oh God, yeah, which is 100% a take on.
I did not realize how accurate it is to the Congo.
China, Illinois is one of those shows where you watch it and you're like, oh my God, how did this show last for 3 seasons? And how did it not last for longer?
Yeah.
Like simultaneously, you're like, how was it ever on? And then like, why didn't it last longer?
Know it.
I know. 3 whole seasons. Oh God.
Brad Neely, man.
Oh man, the fucking
underrated.
The fucking perfect speech or whatever.
Lecture.
Yeah, the perfect lecture. Oh God.
The marks went out.
I'm so sorry. Hey girl, look at me.
Anywho.
He has to diarrhea in front of her every single time.
You're the best.
Oh, it's so good. I also love how it's the perfect lecture and he just recreates everything to make it happen again. But like everyone hates hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really funny to me, that part of it, where they're like, oh my God, this again. Because like I would think if it's literally the perfect lecture, people would be excited to hear it. And they're just so fucking annoyed. Oh, I love it. Anyway.
Really, he's just experiencing the quickening or whatever?
Yeah. Oh God, that show is there's so much about that show that's yeah. Anyway.
It punches above its weight.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, I don't know what that means, but I agree.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Le Cage aux Folles. I mean, the Birdcage, excuse me.
The Cage of Crazy Ladies.
Mad Women.
Yeah. Would you recommend?
I don't know. I didn't.
You didn't hate it.
If you're like trying to come out to your family, this might be I don't know.
I
don't know if I can quite recommend it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Definitely has some moments.
I'm going to say I think the interesting thing about this movie for me is like the majority of people in it are not queer, but I feel like this is not a movie to be consumed by straight people.
Oh, interesting. Because I really think it's for straight people.
Well, yes, but I feel like it's an important movie in the sense of like queer cinema in the sense of historical and things like that. Like if I'm queer, like watching this and seeing like this is what was considered controversial. This is what I think it's a good like historical sort of like film to watch, and it's got like a lot of like nostalgic feel, a lot of things like that to watch. But I feel like if you're straight and you're watching this because you think it's really funny, I'd be like, why? Why do you think it's funny?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I not to say that straight people can't enjoy it or can't like watch it. I think that that's fine, but like I think this movie is more about, for me, what I took away from it was like the ways that it was controversial then versus now.
Yeah.
And the ways that it was like pushing the envelope then versus how it would be taken now.
That was the most interesting part.
And I do think I would recommend it in the sense of like if you're like curious what queer cinema was for like mainstream audiences in the 90s, you should absolutely watch The Birdcage. And then you should compare it to something that's like a queer cinematic movie now and see, because I think that there's aspects of it that's like, yeah, I like the fact that it's a lighthearted comedy. Nobody fucking dies. It's not tragic-y. It's not sitting there and it's not making you feel bad. Nobody's coming out, really. I mean, like, you know,
right.
Nobody's having to grapple with who they really are. Right. No one's having to do anything. It's all like a comedy of kind of errors. Like the reason why Nathan Lane is pretending to be the mother is not because it's because like so many things went wrong leading up to the dinner, you know, that was like a last resort for them to do this. And like, you know, it's just like, it's interesting to me that it can be so lighthearted in the face of so many things that were happening in the 90s that were, you know, really scary and awful for queer people. And it was a really like lighthearted, simple, straightforward comedy movie that wasn't shaming people for being queer. It's not saying, you know, they're deviants, they're sick. It's truly showing them trying to do what they think is best for their child. And I think there's a lot of like, it was almost, it was really wholesome in a lot of ways. You know, like no one's cheating, no one's having an affair. Like the gay men aren't like slapping everyone's ass. They're not like doing all these things. Like Hank Azaria's character isn't like trying to hook up with anyone. He's literally like, He's like the comedic
There's
relief.
no sex in the movie, right?
Right.
You know, like,
yeah. Which I'm not saying, like gay people don't have sex or gay people can't have sex, but it's not done.
No, it just takes that element out of it.
Yeah.
So you see that that's not actually the issue anybody has.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah.
I was going to say it's kind of an inverse of Look Who's Coming to Dinner, right? Because the straights are coming into the gay world.
Mm-hmm. And also, I really like the idea of I really like that what's happening is that the straights aren't invading gay spaces. Like, they come and they're coming to, like, South Beach or whatever it is.
Right.
And they're uncomfortable with what they're seeing, but they're the outsiders.
Yeah,
and I even like it.
Yeah, that's what
right. But what I liked about it was that it's visible. Like, you can see.
Yeah, right.
You can see just from their car that they're not, like, all the car. But what's interesting, though, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, all the other cars are, like, white. And then their car is black, which is like cinematically, that is supposed to signify something that's like the bad guy.
Right.
So you're being visually told that these people are the bad guys. These people aren't. Yeah. And I was thinking about that, and at first I was like, oh my God, this is perfect because, like, they're coming from, like, Ohio or whatever, where there's a bunch of snow, and their car's, like, covered in basically, like, salt, looks like,
I thought it was dust.
Well, dust, but it looks, that's how cars look like in, like, the, because they haven't been around, they haven't been washed, and there's, like, all kinds of buildup from, like, salt and snow and, like, all this stuff.
This is less like Palm Beach than I imagined.
Well, it was all sand when they bought here. This just sort of grew up around them while they were in Greece.
So, I don't know, there was just, like, a lot of stuff in it like that where and I did appreciate the fact that, like, Nathan Lane's character, he wasn't really saying anything, he wasn't, like, playing up and trying to be, like, offensive. He was just, like, saying stuff like the senator would be like, oh, the gays are ruining, everything, and then Nathan Lane would be like, oh, I don't think like, I don't know. He would just, like, say something and they would be, like, mortified at what he was saying, but he wasn't really saying, he was, like, gently being like,
yeah, right.
Here's something. And, like, it was being taken like Gene Hackman's character was like, I hear you, And so it was like a sort of like he was hearing, I mean, not like he wasn't necessarily understanding, but he was, like, listening to what she had to say because, he gave a shit. Anyway, it was just, like, it was really interesting to see sort of, like, the comedy aspect being more slapstick and less, like...
At the expense of...
Right, yeah.
I mean, sure, some of it, because it's
for sure.
Physical comedy based on...
Yes.
But, right.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just, I think it's not,
Sweet and sour peasant soup.
Yeah. Especially, like, at the, like, for, like, 1996, a mainstream film about...
Did you see this? That Mike Nichols employed somebody to go and film a bunch of footage in drag clubs in Miami, San Francisco, New York, and I think another city.
Wow.
And produce a documentary, basically, as a research document for the actors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. No, that's really cool.
I don't know if that was ever released, but...
Yeah. No, I'd like to see that.
It's called Paris is Burning.
No,
JK.
I've never seen Paris is Burning. I'm a bad gay.
You are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... Again, it's one of those that's imperfect, but definitely a historical document.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely tragic.
This is one of those things where, like, I grew up really sheltered and conservative, and so I didn't, come into my own, until I was, well into my 20s. And, like, my my first real relationship was a queer relationship. And like there was lots of stuff that I didn't know about, which is fine.
Yeah, right.
Lots of people, and
Sure.
instead of being like, "Oh, you don't know about it. Here's some research or something," it was like, "You're a bad gay for not knowing already."
Right.
So that felt great. So if you run across a gay that's unfamiliar with certain things,
Shame them.
yeah, just shame them. Don't say, "Hey, this is a great resource to look at," or "Here's a great thing to research." Just tell them that they're a horrible person and that they should feel bad about themselves because they don't already know something that you also had to learn from somewhere and didn't come with the knowledge pre-packaged in your human brain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the best thing to do when dealing with newly outed queer people or newly out queer people is to make them feel like shit.
100%. It's the way to be supportive.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
Paris is burning. During the rehearsal sequence, you know?
Uh-huh.
And Armand gets up and he was like, inside your Martha Graham,
Yeah,
Twyla.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And eventually he says Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
That the person playing, what's he called?
Oh, the guy that has the chewing gum?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was a dancer for Madonna.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
At some point.
At some point.
I got a pee, so
Yeah, is that
should we wrap it up?
Yeah. Wrap it up. Such a visual gag with that one. And only reason it's funny is because of how someone said it to me, and there's no way to really translate that.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe everywhere you can.
Smash that
follow.
Smash that smush.
Yeah, smush that smash.
Flip that footage.
Hey, girl!